welcome to another episode of HISD TV. My name is Miss McCullough and you guys are watching 4th grade math. Hi 4th graders, I'm so excited to see all of you again. We have one more week of learning, one more week of math, and one more week of progress. I know that these last few weeks of school, last few months are really hard, right? Because we're excited, we're jittery, we're ready for summer to start. But please guys, stay strong, stay focused. You're almost there. If this year has taught us anything, it is that you guys are so smart and you are so capable. So please make sure that you guys are staying focused in your classes and you're paying attention, okay? And that you're learning a little bit with me too in these videos to help you as you progress through school, as you progress with your math. All right, everyone. So today we are going to learn a new unit. We are going to learn about time. Now, I know nowadays we could just look at our phones or computers or our TVs and see the time right there, right? So if someone says, hey, what time is it? Most people just look at their phone and say, oh, it's this time. But we're going to practice time with an analog clock, which is not a digital one. It's the one with all the little hands on it, all the little numbers around. And we're also going to talk about elapsed time. That's time that has already passed or time that will pass. So we're going to calculate all of that together, okay? All right, guys. So without further ado, remember you guys need a few things to get ready and focus with me today. So the first thing you're going to need is a pencil or something to write with. The second is a sheet of paper or your math notebook. And the third and most important thing is to put on your thinking cap and stay focused with me. So if you need to walk somewhere where you're easily able to focus, or if you want to let others around you know that it's your time for your video for your math, you can go ahead and do so. I'm going to give everybody around a minute to grab their items and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, fantastic 4th graders. If you have all of your stuff, you're ready to go ahead and learn with me today, go ahead and give me a high five. Awesome job. I love high-fiving with you guys. It's super fun. All right, let's go ahead and read our objective together. Remember, the objective states the knowledge and the skills, right? The knowledge and skills. So the things we're going to learn and how we're going to apply what we learned, okay? So let's go ahead and read it together now. Today we will use T-charts and prior knowledge about minutes and hours to solve problems that deal with intervals of time. All right, everyone, we read our objective. We know what we're going to learn today. Make sure, guys, that we are focusing in on this video. We're paying attention and you guys are following along with me because a lot of these elapsed time problems, although we may seem easy because we're like, hey, I know how to read a clock or I know how to tell time. Elapsed time is different, right? So we need to really pay attention and focus in on what we're learning today, okay? Because a lot of these problems may be tricky. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get right into the math. Remember, guys, everything that I write, yes, you write too, okay? So go ahead and get started. Let's do it. All right, 4th graders, so remember that we are beginning a new unit this week. So when we begin a new unit, we have new vocabulary words that we need to learn. So this first word is shown on your screen. Everybody read this word with me, hour. Yes, hour. An hour is a unit of time equal to 60 minutes. So 1 hour, I'm sure you guys have seen hours on the clock, right? So look at this clock here. Each big number that you see here in black, so 1, 2, 3, 4, those represent hours of the day. And remember, guys, there's 24 hours in one day, so this is an hour. Let's look at the next word here together. Everybody say this word with me. Minute. Minute. Very good. Minute. Minute is a unit of time equal to 60 seconds. So you guys see in between these big hours, or these digits here that are representative of hours, there's little hash marks inside, and those are the minutes. And if you see an analog clock like this, the longer hand is the minute hand, and the shorter hand is the hour hand. And there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Our next word here is AM. Have you guys ever seen this word? Maybe when people are talking about the time of day, like, hey, it's 5 a.m. or it's 5 p.m. And maybe you're wondering what AM means. AM is an abbreviation used to describe time between midnight and midday. So 12 a.m. is 12 midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., things like that. Most of you guys begin school around 7:30 a.m., right, in the morning. So a.m., a really cool way for you guys to remember a.m. is just think at morning, a.m. That's not what it means, but it's just a way for us to know to remember a.m. is at morning. The next word is p.m. p.m. and this is the same thing as a.m. It's the same type of abbreviation, but it means a different thing. It's an abbreviation used to describe time after midday up to midnight. So that's where you see things after 12 in the afternoon. You may say 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Most of you guys finish school around 3:30 or 4 p.m., right? So that's just representative of it's not morning anymore, it's p.m. Our next word here is digital clock. Everyone say this with me, digital clock. Very good, digital clock. A digital clock is a clock like this. It shows the time using digits instead of hands on a dial. So instead of those hands on the clock that we most likely see maybe in our classrooms or when we walk into offices or maybe the doctor's office, these are digital clocks, and these clocks read us the time. Now, do you notice the time on this digital clock? It says 14:05. I know some of you are like, wow, I've never seen time like that before. And that's because this time right here on this specific clock is military time. Military time, guys, is just a time, a way that people read time from midnight to midday. And so instead of the hours rotating all over again at 12, they don't rotate. They just keep going on until you have 24 hours. So instead of saying 12 in the afternoon, they would say 1300 hours. Instead of saying 1 in the afternoon or 1 p.m., you would say 1400 hours. And next we have an analog clock. This word represents a clock with moving hands that represent time by the position of the hands on a dial. This clock here, guys, is an analog clock. Analog. It's not digital. It doesn't tell us the time exactly. We have to read this clock. So remember, what hand, the smaller one or the larger one, which hand tells us the minutes? Very good, fourth graders. Yes, the longer one tells us the minutes. And which one tells us the hour? Yeah, the shorter hand. So, can someone read me the time that I'm doing right now? What time does this clock read? 12:50. Very good. 12:50, because the clock here is the smaller hand is on the hour and the longer hand is on the minute. And the hour is pointing to 12 and the minute is pointing to 50. You guys see these hash marks here? There's 60 of these little red hash marks all around the clock. And after each minute, the hash mark, and after each minute, the hand moves, just like this, after 60 seconds, and it'll move, and it'll move, and it'll move. And that's how we can tell how much time has elapsed, or how many minutes have passed. And our last word, guys, brought me right into it, Elapsed time. Everyone say that with me. Elapsed time. Very good. Elapsed time. This describes the length of an event using units of time. For example, how long we spend in school. From the moment we got to school to the moment we get picked up from school. That's elapsed time. That tells us the length of time that we were in school. So if we count all of those hours, it tells us the elapsed time of the moments that we were in school. All right, fourth graders, so what I'm going to do now is show you guys a picture of an analog clock. Can everybody see this clock with me? Yeah? Okay, awesome. I want you guys to tell me how many numbers or hours are representative on this clock. How many hours? How can you guys tell which ones are the hours? Yes, they're the bigger numbers, right? So the bigger numbers, which are these are the hours. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a little pointer to it and I'm going to write down that these are the hours. These are representative of the hours. And what about these little tick marks? There's so many numbers that go around and it goes all the way to 59. Wow, there's so many. What are those called? Yes, those are called minutes. Those are representative of the minutes. Very good, fourth graders. So I'm going to write down a little time here and I want you guys to help me and tell me what is the time that I have on my clock. All right, so remember the smaller hand is indicative of what? Yes, very good. The smaller hand tells us the hour. So the smaller hand tells us the hour because it's smaller. And which hour is pointing here? Where are we pointing exactly? Yeah, around 1. Very good. So we're pointing at 1. And the larger hand tells us yes, the minute. Very good. The longer hand tells us the minute. And where are we pointing to? 38. Excellent job, fourth graders. So if I wanted to know the time on this clock, what time is it? 1:38. Excellent job. And we always write our time with 2 dots like this, and these 2 dots are called a colon, and we always want to write our time just like this with 2 dots, not a decimal, because if we write it with only 1 dot it looks like a decimal, right? That looks like 1.38, but we write our time with 2 points, a colon, 1:38, just like that. And I want to ask you guys really quickly, what does AM mean? Is that morning or afternoonish, evening? Yeah, that's morning. Very good. That's morning. Early morning into the morning up to 12, right? 12 is 12 noon. And then what does PM mean? Yes, PM is afternoon, evening, and night, right? Afternoon, evening, and of course, night. And so it's important for us to do a refresher on this, guys, since we're about to begin time, and this unit takes a little bit out of us because it's kind of tricky, but I wanted us to just refresh ourselves on the clock. Remember, this is an analog clock. The long hand tells us the minute, the short hand tells us the hour. Now, how many minutes are in 1 hour? 1 hour equals how many minutes? 60 minutes. Very good. And I'm going to write M-I-N, min, for minutes here. So you guys can see that 1 hour is 60 minutes, okay? So if I were to look at this clock at 1 o'clock, the long hand has to rotate all around the clock for another hour to come. So if it's 1 o'clock right now, the long minute hand has to rotate all around this clock in order for it to turn to 2 o'clock. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, how many seconds are in 1 minute? 1 min has how many seconds? Yeah, 1 minute has 60 seconds. If me and you count to 60, and you just count all the way to 60 in a steady pace, not super fast, just in a steady pace, and you count to 60, that is 1 minute of elapsed time that has gone by. If you count to 120, because 60 plus 60 is 120, that is 2 minutes that has passed by. So after every 60 seconds, this long minute hand ticks over to the next number. And after another 60 seconds, it'll tick along and tick, 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 all the way until it's all the way done. And then the hour hand says, boom, we're ticking over. And it'll tick to the next hour, and the minute hand will start all over again. All right, so it's important. 1 hour is 60 minutes, and 1 minute is 60 seconds. So with that being said, fourth graders, let's get right into the work. So let's look at this example here. You may notice that I wrote out 2 little T-charts, and that's important for us because we're going to use this for minutes and seconds. Okay, now it's easy because both minutes, seconds, and hours focus on the rule of 60, right? So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, and there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. But there are 24 hours in 1 day. But only for today's work, we're going to focus on seconds and minutes. And so I'm just going to go ahead and write minutes and hours here. So I'm going to start with hours. And I'm going to write MIN for minutes. And I'm going to go down all the way to 5. Let's do 6 actually for good measure. And so what we're going to do here, fourth graders, is we're going to create a T-chart that tells us the relationship between our hours and our minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. How many would be 2 hours? How many minutes would 2 hours be? Very good, 120. And our rule here is we multiply our input times 60 to get our output. So we multiply 1 by 60 to get 60. We multiply 2 by 60 to get 120. 3 by 60 to get, and 4 by 60, and 5 by 60, and 6 by 60. So let's do 3 by 60. Well, we know that when we multiply by a digit that ends in 0, like 60, we can just tack that 0 on at the end, right? Because essentially we're regrouping those values. So what is 3 times 6, fourth grade? Very good. 3 times 6 is 18. Does everyone agree? Excellent work. And remember, we're multiplying not by 6, by 60, so we need to add a 0 at the end. What is 4 times 6? 24. Excellent job. And what are we missing at the end? A 0. I love that. Now, can you guys go ahead and take around 10 seconds to fill in the rest of this chart? I want to know how many minutes are in 5 hours and how many minutes are in 6 hours. Remember our rule, we're multiplying by 60. And remember, when a digit ends in 0, like 60 right here, you just tack that 0 on at the end. So essentially, we're multiplying the input by 6, putting it here, and then tacking that 0 on at the end, fourth grade. So go ahead and take around 10 seconds to solve this. All right, does everyone think they have it? Awesome, let's check. What is 5 times 6? 30, very good, and I have to tack that 0 on the end. So how many minutes are in 5 hours? 300, excellent work. And what is 6 times 6? 36, very good. And I'm going to tack a 0 on at the end. Excellent work, fourth graders. So now we have our T-chart that represents the relationship between hours and minutes. And now we know how many minutes are in these designated hours. So let's read our problem together. Ready? All right. A geyser is an underground hot spring that shoots water and steam into the air. At Yellowstone National Park, there is a geyser that erupts once every 44 to 125 minutes. If the geyser erupted one day at 1:04 p.m., at which time could the geyser erupt next? So what I'm going to do is take out my important tool, which is my highlighter. And I'm going to highlight the important information. And I know that you guys don't have this problem in front of you, but I want you to tell me, what is the important information in this problem, in this story right here? We have a math story. And first of all, fourth grade, what's our story about? Is it about dogs, cats, furniture? No, it's about geysers, right? A geyser. And a geyser, guys, is just like a spring that just shoots water up in the air. It's a really cool natural phenomenon that happens. And so we're reading about geysers and we're reading along, and we read that this one geyser erupts once every 44 to 125 minutes. Because we don't know when these guys are going to erupt, right? It's like volcanoes. They're kind of unpredictable. We know around what time they're going to erupt, but we don't know when. And so it says, if the geyser erupted one day at 1:04 p.m., at which time could the geyser erupt next? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write out our important information. So we see that this geyser erupts at 1:04 p.m. And this geyser can erupt once every 44 to 125 minutes. This is the amount of time that the geyser has to erupt. We know it's going to erupt. We don't know exactly when. And we know that it's going to erupt at 1:04. And we don't know what time it's going to erupt next. We don't know if it could be 44 minutes or 125 minutes after 1:04. So what we need to do is we need to look at these options and see which one falls in between these two time frames. 44 minutes and 125 minutes. Now we know, fourth graders, how many minutes are in an hour, right? 60. So if we add 44 minutes to 1:04, do we go over 60 or under 60? What do you think? 44 plus 4, is that over 60 or under 60? Yeah, that's under 60. Very good. So let's add that up. So let's say 1:04 plus 44 minutes. So what is 4 plus 4? 8. And 0 plus 4? 4. And the 1 we drop. So the geyser could erupt anywhere from 1:48 p.m. all the way to, wow, it says 125 minutes. How are we going to figure that out, fourth graders? Well, look at what we did together. Remember our trusty T-chart? 125 minutes, that looks like 120. So that means that 2 hours must have gone by, right? Yeah, because 120 is 2 hours, and we can just tack on 5. Let's see, 2 hours is 120 minutes. So if it's 1:04, what is 2 hours after 1:04? Now remember, 1:04, this is 1. And this is 04. Let me get this right for you guys. 1:04. This is what 1:04 looks like. 1:04. And so 2 hours after 1:04, we need to jump which hand? The long minute hand or the short hour hand? 2 hours. Yeah, the short hour hand. So let's jump this 2 hours. So 1, 2. Oops. So what time is 2 hours from now? Very good, 3:04. Excellent job. So we know that it'll erupt at 3:04. Well, it says 125 minutes. So we know that it's going to be 3 Let's see, what is 4 plus 5? 9, very good. So we know that the geyser can erupt anywhere from 1:48 p.m. to 3:09 p.m. Do you guys see how we did that? We looked first here at our beginning point, which is 44 minutes, and we were like, oh, well, that's kind of easy. We could just add 44 minutes to 104. We will not go over our 60-minute mark. So what we did was we went ahead and added 44 to 104, and we got 148. And then we said, wow, 125, I know I can't add that because it's over 60. And you don't add minutes over 60 because then we would say 3 hours and 90 minutes, or for example, 2 hours and 80 minutes, right? So you don't do that. So what we do is we look at our trusty T-chart and we say, well, we got 125 minutes here. What is the number that's close to this? And we said, oh, 120. That's 2 hours. So the geyser must wait 2 hours, and then we've got 5 minutes left, right? Because we know that 2 hours is 120. And so we took away 2 hours, and we were left with 5 minutes left. And so then after we realized that 2 hours from 1 is 3, we added on 5 minutes, and 4 plus 5 is 9. So we know that the geyser erupts anywhere from 1:48 to 3:09 p.m. So which could be our answer choice, 4th grade? A, B, C, or D? The time frames of the geyser's eruption has to fall in between these two time frames. It has to fall somewhere between 1:48 and 3:09. I'm going to go ahead and give everyone around a minute to calculate and figure out, which one could be our answer. All right, do you guys think you have it? Okay, let's look together. So we've got our timeline here. Remember, the geyser has to erupt anywhere from 1:48 p.m. to 3:09 p.m. So let's look at our options. A says 1:44 p.m. That would be right here. That would be option A. Is option A in this number line? Not at all, so we can get rid of that. B says 3:29 p.m. 3:29 p.m. is over here, and I'm going to put B over here. Could this be one of our options? No, because it doesn't fall within this number line. C says 3:05 p.m. 3:05 p.m. we could just say is like right here. We're going to put C down right here. Could it be C? Yeah, it could be C. I'm going to put a little dot here. And let's check D. D says 1:25. D is way over here. Could it be D? No, because it doesn't fall within our time frame. So C is the correct answer. Excellent work, 4th graders. All right, guys, excellent job today. Remember your elapsed time. A T-chart will be your best friend. Also, try and practice with analog clocks around your home. Analog clocks are really easy to get, guys, once you practice a lot. Practice makes perfect, so make sure you're practicing reading it and you're reading the minutes and the hours. I know it's really easy nowadays because most of us have phones, tablets, computers that just tell us the time, right? A lot of us can just turn on our phone and ask our phone, hey, what time is it? And it'll tell us. But it's so important to be able to read clocks like this, watches even, so that one day, maybe if the power goes out or, you can just be able to read clocks like this and solve these problems for class. So make sure that you guys are practicing on an analog clock. Also, make sure that you're writing down and using a T-chart. T-charts will help you so much. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and get right into our math challenge. So the math challenge for this week is to solve the problem in this math story. So let's read it together. Miss McCullough left her home at 6:15 a.m. to get to work. She stopped by the coffee shop for 10 minutes, was stuck in traffic for 45 minutes, and took 5 minutes to walk from the parking lot to her classroom. What time did Miss McCullough finally get to her classroom? So everyone, as you can see, the question or what you need to find out is highlighted there in yellow. Make sure that you use T-charts, number lines, or even drawing out your own analog clock to help you skip count and find out what time I finally got to my classroom. I'm going to give everyone around 10 seconds on this slide so that you can jot down the important information and the question in order to solve this. Good luck, everyone! Okay, everyone, so that was our video of time. I hope you guys learned a little bit with me today. And please, please, please do the math challenge, guys. The math challenge is a way for you guys to apply what you learned in my videos into a little challenge throughout the week where you can then solve or answer a question relating to what we learned today, okay? So you can apply a little bit of that further. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Please be good, stay strong, stay focused, make good choices, and I cannot wait to see you next week. Bye, fourth graders.